my face is not red right now, but it should be. And the reason being is, well, the solution to my problem, like I was going to end up drilling a hole here and gluing this into something like this, then mounting it in my chuck. But the obvious solution was so simple and so obvious that I didn't see it. Now, maybe what was happening was I wanted to do something complicated because I like to make the apparatus. But I'll show you the solution. And probably a lot of you have thought of it, as well as the person who told me about it. But anyway, here's the solution. Now, as Goofy used to say, "Oh, I never thought of that." I used to be able to do a very convincing Goofy a few years ago. Yeah, now all I'm doing is convincing people that I'm goofy. Anyway, the guy that suggested this, same guy that gave me this wood. Thank you, Walt. If you watched the episode where I drilled the hole up through this thing, you will remember that, it started in the right spot here, more or less. But because the drill bit was not centered the way I should have done it, it exited out here, probably 1/4 of an inch off center. So that means that I've got probably 1/4 of an inch extra that I have to turn off here. And I'm concerned that by the time I get it turned down, this end here, by the time it goes all the way across, the top is going to be a little smaller than what I want it to be. But there's nothing I can do about it at this point. I've often said, I can take it off, but I can't put it back on. And there's just no way that I can re-drill that hole. At least not very easily. Instead of, maybe boring it out, and then I'm going to have, a real ugly looking situation going on here on this end. Anyway, bottom line is, I'm going to just have to round it off right now as best I can and just hope it doesn't get too terribly noticeably smaller than the Wenge wood. But I think you know what I'm trying to talk about here. So let's see what happens. Well, out here it's going to be okay. It may be so slightly smaller that it's not going to be noticeable. If I turn the tenon on this end here where it's smallest, yeah, we'll see what happens here. Now, if I turn the tenon down to about that size right there, it should be exactly right, because this fits perfectly into the pepper mill head now. I guess you know why I turned it around. Too hard to turn the tenon down close to this chuck head. That's a nice fit. Just a little bit loose. And it looks like if I go straight across and then around, I should be turning it down pretty much the same size as the other one. Or at least the same size as this is. Now here's where I'm glad this is a bit of a tight fit. I think it's just going to turn nicely just from the friction there. It might slip a little, but as long as I don't get too aggressive with the tool, it should turn. Well, we've worked our way from 150 through to 400 grit here. Feels pretty nice. I think we're ready to try the polish. It's going to be a little bit hard right here though, because this cut and shine will take this metal down, so I'm probably going to have to do the very end by hand. But that won't be a problem. The very end is covered by the knob anyway. It doesn't have to go too fast to apply it. I'll put a little pressure on here because to take advantage of the fact that it's got the grit in it. Okay, now press hard and go right across. Remove and start here. I'm doing this the opposite way from a pen. Normally I go from the inside out. This time I'm going from the end in. I can actually feel the grit, if you know what I mean. It doesn't feel smooth. It's kind of grabbing. And you can see the wood sort of coming off. Well, mind you, the Cut and Shine polish is that color anyway, so maybe it's my imagination. Maybe that's what I want to happen. Okay, let's crank it and see what it's going to look like. That's okay. Now I know they're not a perfect match, but they're pretty close. And unless you really eyeball them side by side like that, you're not going to notice the difference. I think they came out pretty good.